Chuck, what is our numbers beneath here? Why don't you give those to us real quick, the ones that were beneath the current S&P?
Well, I think the fourth quarter open, 67.25. That's going to be a big one.
Ooh, yeah, that's way down there, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, gets scarier because the fourth quarter low is at 65.25, and those are really the two big numbers below us right now.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think it's interesting though, Chuck. If you think about things, you got a market that was up in January, and I made the comment. I thought they might, with the momentum slowing, it might correct a little bit. So this is really not it's not unexpected. It's just funny how it develops, isn't it? When you look at it.
it certainly can happen quick, and I think the news probably has a little something to do with it. But also, Tom, it was a tight market in January. Like the
Yeah,
January range was below average, and averages are made up of bigger and smaller numbers. We had a smaller number, and now we're getting a bigger number, and we're going to see how that plays out. Now, of course, if you want to keep track of what we're doing here at DTI, make sure you join dtitrader.com/telegram. And we would like to invite our YouTube audience in. Good to see everybody there. dtitrader.com YouTube. You can follow along live and listen to recordings. So when we're done here, make sure you check the recordings and a couple other presentations that we got going on. Now, because we're talking about markets, we got to hit this next slide. Risk disclaimer: there is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. You and you alone are responsible for all the decisions you make, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Now, let's get into some of that news that's shaping the market. Of course, we do have earnings today from Amazon. We've got the first 3 days. When I put this in here, we were still up above that 68, 62.50, but it was the new low of the first 3 days set yesterday, and obviously the market's moved below that. But don't forget about 70.27 quarter. It's very easy, Tom, I think, to be focused on one side of the market, but you got to pay attention to everything out there. Now, probably the biggest news shaping the market is AMD and the tech-led market move, which is a little bit down. AMD opened February at 235.77. And if you guys go and take a look at where they're trading right now at 192.87, that is what is that? About 40 points down on a $200 stock. So it's about a 20% down move. And yes, that is going to cause disruptions across the board. And it's not just AMD, but AMD is indicative of what we're looking at. And, how do you react to that? I think that's probably going to be the biggest topic right now. And if we go to get Tom's opinion at this point, we'll go to the My Opinion slide. Tom, with all that going on in the market, how do you make the adjustments?
Well, obviously you've got a very volatile market, and the market, if you think about it this morning, if you go look at it, RB3 had an opening, went up and topped out, and then we broke RB3. That's when the bottom fell out in the current index market, and we started dropping. We went down first about 68.08, then we went down to 68.03, and we're hovering near the lows. Not like it's just running away from these lows. So it's probably more to go. If you look at the structure of the bars and structure of where especially since we went up first, like we did, we tried to rally, and the rally was pushed back. Just wasn't time for that. But I think that it's an opportunity for us to review some of the things that we usually cover at least once a quarter, and I think we got a real good educational piece today. We'll go to a live market after we finish the educational piece, but just things that I think about. And when you start seeing the market break below its monthly open, I start thinking, well, how low will it go? And then I think, is it going to stay below the monthly open? Remember, a monthly open, don't forget this number for February, is 69.38. 69.38. So no matter how low we go, that's going to be our resistance when we come off those lows. If we still got a bull market, that's the question. So That's my opinion.
All right, and I suppose it's time to get the train and trade session started here. So, Jonathan, what's our topic today? Or actually, first of all, we got to remember all trades are tracked in the TNT Telegram channel. More resources. Tom's got a couple books out there, not just Winning the Day Trading Game, but a few others as well. Click there for what do we get when we click there? Get a little bit information about that book. White papers available at DTI. So if you want to review information, and always a good idea, make sure you do that. The YouTube page, we mentioned that. Important terms to know. Options playbook. And we got people that love that book, Tom. That's a great book. I remember when you and Patsy were sitting down writing it, and lots of very good information in Winning the Day Trading Game.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because that book actually I had a recording. I don't know if we still got it or not, but it was a recording that I used to have, probably out of date, but still a great recording. Was I used to market DTI years ago. It'd bring more people in when they heard the recording. John, we have that recording, the one I'm talking about, the penalty tape.
Yes, we do. Sure do.
You ought to put that in there, the link. Hey, some of the stuff's out of date on it, but it goes to show you back then in late 90s, early 2000, the penalty tape. I said, you ought to listen if you ever lose money. I used to tell people, be sure to listen if you lose money. That was the penalty. You lost money. It was a good tape. But a lot of people would come to the school in Mobile after listening to that audio. So take a listen. All right, here we go. Here's our 3-day algo. Let's see how it's setting up so far. Now be aware, these numbers, even though it's got E-mini short and all that, they can change. And the way they change is they climb back above the high. And that high for E-mini is 70.27. 70.27, the 3-day high. Let's do a computation real quick. If you take 5%, 95% of 70.27, what number does that put? Because that's been generally, if they do have a correction in this market last couple of years, it's October for the rally started. 5% off of 70.27 would take us to what number? Be 95% of that.
Yeah, 66.75 is what I got.
Write that down. 66.75, there's your number. If this thing gets extended, that'd be a good support area, and that ties into Chuck's 67.25 first support. So you learned something already. All right, looking at this, you got Bitcoin obviously short, you got TLT long, you got SPX, XSP, QQQ, TQQ short. On down, you got you gonna slide it down, Jonathan? I can see it, yeah. Let's see, you got AGQ, that's silver related, SLV short, PAS is neutral, NEM is short, Amazon is short going into earnings, Google short, Meta short, NVIDIA is neutral though, isn't it? Okay. Tesla short, MU short, AppLovin is short, Goldman Sachs short, Citibank short, Palantir is short, Joby short. But what this is telling you, folks, what this is telling you, you got a market that's very weak right now. And if you're holding stocks, you got a couple choices. Probably ought to hedge yourself because hedging is a good way during these corrective things not to give up a lot of money. And so today's lesson is on that, right, Jonathan?
Sure is. Let's go to those slides.
All right, these are my favorite ways to hedge in a down market. My first choice is always to go to cash. That comes from many years of trading. The least complicated way to go to cash is just get out of everything and wait till everything settles down. But when you do that, don't make the mistake of not knowing where you're going to get back in. And right now, you got to decide by looking at the numbers. I look at the numbers, and my level for getting back in is 7,000 on the E-mini. 7,000. Okay? Everybody understand the strategy behind you just go to cash, simplify your life, let the things settle down. If you get back above 7,000, you start re-putting things back in. Okay? Philip asked, why 7,000? Well, we'll go to a chart and show you in a little bit, Philip. Can you wait? Okay, let's just wait. That's a great question, though. Why 7,000? The second way to hedge is buy the SQQ. Remember back in 2022 when I taught, y'all remember 2022 when the market was getting killed, I taught people how to use the SQQQ to hedge yourself. Used it a lot back in that bear market, SQQQ. So this is a little review for people. When the QQQ goes down in price, SQQ will go up. You don't have to short the QQQ, you can buy the SQQQ. Buy shares of SQQ and profit as the general market falls. For example, John, just without leaving the slide, where did SQQ open today?
The cash market open for SQQQ was 73.52, and if you're trading pre-market, buying it in pre-market, 71.28.
Yeah, if you'd had sunrise, it was flat. Sunrise signal came out and said, get short. Did anybody in sunrise see that? Where it's all bearish? Did y'all see that in sunrise? Where it said, run for the hills. Okay. Now, 1,000 shares equals 75,000. Since it's 2 times leverage, if you had 150,000 in stock, 1,000 shares of SQQ would cover it. And, you know, depending on whatever your portfolio is, you take SQQQ and equal your stocks. Okay? It's 2 times the leverage. I would use a delta 50, Dan, if I did it. And there's my get back in price, 7,005. So I'm going to lose money on that, but the good news is if I keep going lower, I'm stopping the bleeding without giving up my positions I want to hold. Okay? That's the rationale why you would hedge. But if you got back above 7,005, I sure wouldn't have SQQ on. Maybe before that, if you had a setup getting there, but at least generally speaking, getting out or getting into SQQ for that purpose. Does everybody understand why you want to set it before you watch it go up and down? You got to have a number. And that's why I set it that way. 7,005. Number 3, you can use options on the QQQ. And my favorite way to do it is if you take the QQQ, currently about 596, shorting 100 shares, would cover about 60,000 in stock. But you could buy 2 puts using delta 50, about 30 days to expiration, you get the same coverage as a hedge. For example, the March 96 put is currently around 16 to 17. So about $34 or $3,400, you put that up, okay? $3,400 you put up the same thing as shorting the stock. That's the way you do it with Delta. Everybody understand that? Now I want to stop right. Is if one of these ways appeals to you, understand it, but the number, the bell on a hedge is that 7,005. Okay, everybody got it? Unless we got down, let's say hypothetically we got down to Chuck's number 67.25 or 66.75, that range, you might decide, hey, market's sold off enough, I'm going to cover my hedge and be long from there. Everybody got that? It's how to play that if the market fell that far? Okay, I just want you to understand, you got to have it's not a day trade, it's a strategy to protect you in the case the market's selling off, okay? The other strategy you'll hear me do from time to time, even when in a bull market, is pocket puts. Pocket puts, we've made a lot of money over the years in pocket puts, okay? And what I do with pocket puts, I will find a 50-cent option out at least about 30 days. And this is usually an all or nothing bet. This is a speculative way to make some money on a down move. Pocket puts. Pay about 50 cents for a 5-wide put spread, about 30 days to expiration, and the strikes will be well out of money, making it a speculative play where I play in the risk of $50 a contract. If the market really sells off bid, these 50-cent spreads could turn into $5. This is a home run way we've done in the past of taking advantage of down moves. And that's usually where I'll go to once I get a bead on, hey, this baby ain't just going to pop back real quick, okay? And that's something I provided. No charge to all my customers when I think it's right. I'll tell you, I'm doing it, okay? And that price level is 7,005. Rob, on pocket puts, I wouldn't do it yet. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. If I do it, I'll probably do it in my T&T room if I go there, okay? And you're a member there. So we see a pocket put situation, I'll set it up there. I just hadn't got there yet. Okay, so let's summarize before we go into sunrise, okay? Have a backup plan in case your plan of a bull market doesn't work. And look, since I'm around let me just give you some advice for free. If you're planning on hedging the market and you don't know where you need to get out, you probably ought to ask that question anytime I'm live. I'll give you that number changes from time to time, okay? Yes, Jennifer, I would. She asked about the metals future fund, I'd hold it. Now, is this helping people understand what to do when the plan doesn't work? Just review, and for a lot of you, I know. I wanted to do that today because I told Jonathan this morning, it looks like the market is Just testing our patience. Now let's go to Sunrise real quick. Charles, some people got filled on that. If you didn't get filled on it, cancel it. This came out this morning on Sunrise. What is the signal Sunrise was telling you about the market at that time? That's what I love about the strategies we put together automatically to keep you informed, okay? Yeah, the Sunrise signal. We'll come back into it because we're going to play a tape in a little bit. But let's go, if we can, to a live market and answer some of those questions.
Okay. I got a 30-minute chart of the S&P on the left, which we can maximize there.
And our low is 68.02 roughly.
That's it, 68.02.
And we're about 5 minutes away from Genesis, right?
Right.
Now, if you look, folks, RB3 had a high, what was that, 68.80?
Yep.
And typically, if it's a normal day, Genesis will set a low during this time period and trade up into that RB3 range. Usually the low of it or the midpoint of it, followed by the high of it. If it gets higher than that, the next obstacle will be the 7 o'clock reference bar and getting higher than that, okay? Which is 69.19 is that high, okay? Yeah, RBX occurs between 7 and 7:30. And people's heard me talk about the pre-market sunrise signal before. A lot of people have, but we'll play a tape for you in a little bit. Okay, put the daily up there if you will. The daily, I think Dan or somebody was asking where I got my 7,000 number. Put the daily up there.
That's the daily right there.
Now, if you look, Dan, you see it's got a lot of resistance at 7,000, 7,015 zone. And that's the zone that would tell me to give up the hedge and go the other way if we went up from here. You see it now, Dan? I think it was Dan asking that question. Great question. When you wake up and see a solid red on sunrise, it ain't just a minor correction when you see that. 7,005, not 7055. But give me some feedback. Are you glad what we did today help you? I mean, does this help you? Sort of give you a ballpark how to view what's going on in the market, right? We're looking at numbers, not emotions. All right, Jonathan, I think we'll be back today at, did anybody see Jonathan's note that got filled on the silver wheel yesterday? He took profits this morning on that trade. That way we'll come into 1 o'clock looking at silver. You want to look at silver real quick before we go to the tape? All right, let's go look at silver. If you will, put a daily in there.
All right, daily chart of SLV.
Where's it at? 69?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good play yesterday. I wish we'd got it off for everybody, but I know some of you did, and congratulations, you know. But there's other trades out there we'll get maybe as soon as about an hour from now. All right, so here's what I think on silver. Here's the question. Let Jonathan tell me the answers. Where'd silver open the year?
SLV opened the year at 67.30.
Okay, we're barely holding on to the yearly open. Okay. All right, here's a real trick. What's the high reference bar today? Showing Genesis real quick, if you will.
Under tables, if you go to Genesis, let's just.
This is a great feature inside the roadmap.
See what this one labeled as silver is. The high reference bar today on SLV is 81.
And the low?
66.57.
There's your two numbers on the SLV for today. 81 and 66.57. And that updates as the reference bars flow through. Doesn't look like the high, which is, what is it, 72, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, the 81 numbers coming from the open last night. And the RBX high, if you're curious about, from this morning onward, RBX high is 71.5 or so.
You got a big gap between last night and this morning, don't you?
Yeah, sure do.
But those are the numbers I would use. And since it's been sort of a wild market, that 71.5, we'll put Genesis out. I guess we could go poke that high a little bit, but 68.78 is where it is. So framing it right now, Jonathan, just put the high from X this morning. What was it? 71.50.
Yeah.
And the low, what'd you have the low at?
66.5.
66.5. So little support down there, but that's where we are right now in the silver market. Okay.
I mean, look at this, Tom. I've never seen this before. The ID here is never above the ATR. The ID basically is how far a stock moves relative to its current price as a percentage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you go look at the S&P just as an example. Moves 95 points in a day, ATR 1. You go look at gold. Moves 259 points in a day, has an ATR of 5. And you go look at silver, I'll pop in silver futures there. Has an ID of 15 as a measurement of risk. If you just think about it that way, silver is off the charts. It's just pretty wild stuff in terms of the moves we're seeing.
Y'all remember on Friday, a lot of people were thinking about buying silver. I said, no, just wait it out, wait it out. This is why I wanted you to wait it out, because I figured that they would do this to it one more time. And they actually made a new low today, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, they did on SLV. Let's check the futures. Not quite. Looks like not quite on the futures. Let's check not quite on the futures.
Help old rubber biscuit out. I like that name, rubber biscuit. See his question, Jonathan?
I do, and I'm just typing it up. The idea is that best way to think about it, I guess, is measurement of risk. So the calculation, it's the ATR number divided into the RB open price. So ATR as a percentage of price is what it is. So how far does the stock move, on a day-to-day basis? What does that compare relative to its actual price, right? Lots of risk in silver. Lots of movement. Yep, you got it.
All right, let's look at Apple. Did everybody make that Apple trade yesterday? They should have. I gave you a free invitation to my live trading. Did everybody make that Apple trade? You getting TNT or got a free ticket or a member, you got paid pretty good yesterday on that trade. Wasn't that nice? Larry, why didn't you make it? Just didn't like it? I think that's pretty good to be able to pick one needle out of the haystack like we did with Apple. I think I was happy to deliver it to you. And Apple today, though, needs to correct a little bit. It went to 278. And the number, let me give you the range of Apple where you got the range I'm using 279 to 272 and a half, or call it 272. Put that range in there, Jonathan. We'll notice we haven't broke yesterday's low on the reference bar yet. That tells me everything I need to know about Apple, except the opening price each day. And the opening price today was 278. So if I look at the opening price today, Apple's correcting a little bit. Does everybody understand the difference? It's not favorable today, not unless you got above that opening price. Okay? All right. Now, last night I talked about Sunrise and talked about Genesis working together. Today was a classic case where Sunrise told you that you got a big down day coming, where it gave you to hold off. You were thinking about buying things and all that. It has saved you a fortune. But look at that. That's screaming. Screaming. This morning, about 7:30, it was screaming. I also told you bonds or yields would be going lower, so TLT is going up. Wendy, I don't understand why you don't have. What is Wendy missing? She wants to get into the Genesis room.
Hey, Wendy, you should have a Genesis membership area in one click, and the Telegram link is there. So go check one click, see if you have the Genesis algo mentioned there. And I'm sure I posted my email before, but if not, shoot me an email. We'll get you situated.
Yeah, Jonathan will follow up, make sure, but you should let him know if you need help. Anyway, I look at that Sunrise every morning. I look at Genesis every day. So let's go back to the live market one more time and look at the current state of affairs.
Throw the S&P back in their time. There we are.
It's telling you that under the normal odds, we made our low in this Genesis time period. It's going to trade back up until we get past RB4. Yeah, Peg, I think he sent you a note on that question.
Yeah, Peg, if you want to just shoot me an email, or you can post your email here if you want, but if you just want to shoot me an email. give me a good reminder.
4 out of 5 days. 4 out of 5 days, you make a lower high during this time period. That's great odds to know, unless you get a continuation day. Okay? Oscar, put your email on there. Jonathan, take care of you.
You don't have to ask permission to email me either. I say that, tongue in cheek, people, email me anytime you need something. Just shoot me an email.
So, if the market's making a low midday, the odds for the day it trades up into, looks like RBX, RB3 range. And then after RB4, we'll be live. So I'll see everybody at the live for RB4. That's our next stop, right, Jonathan? Why don't we play the tape we got for everybody today? Let them listen. Thanks for your help. Really appreciate all y'all. We'll get there. You got to get a little stability in this market. Right now, you got a lot of cross currents. Risk is very high. You want to cut your size down. It's not time to lay it on the line. It will be someday, but not today. All right.
Thanks, Tom. Let me cue up the video. We'll get going.
I think, would y'all give us a 10 for us hitting a big topic today for you on that hedging stuff?
So
Watch that tape, understand it. That's what you do when things don't go according to plan. Don't sit there and lose money like a lot of people did in 2022. They hadn't talked to me. I got short. Jonathan, it was the 4th, 5th day of the year. I got short. Anybody that listened, guess what? We had a great year in 22. People that didn't listen or understand what I was talking about kept buying the dip. And the dip got bigger and bigger, like going to a swimming pool with no bottom. No, Peg, I'm not, right now, I haven't done anything yet. Because I remember my first choice. What was my first choice? That's right. Cash is my first choice. So I'm pretty much all in cash waiting. Got a little thing here and there, but nothing to shake around and roll about. I'm just waiting for some clarity. I haven't seen it yet. I'll be here by 1 o'clock for the wheel, and make sure you got covered calls, Peg. Make sure you got covered calls. Yeah, if you got a position in an area like metals, you ought to have covered calls. I've been saying that for days. Sell covered calls.